You just like throwing them.
I do.
Good
It's
throw.
kind of fun.
Just like,
Right?
it just takes and goes. Yeah.
We should just have sound effects for all of it.
Yep.
All right, it's 4 o'clock. Do you want to start?
Go ahead.
Welcome to the Raymond Select Board meeting, Friday, July 28th, 4 p.m. And if everybody would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna work on our harmony on that,
Yes.
that one line.
Okay, so
There's
no
one
comma.
person. There's
Well,
one
there's no
person.
comma. If you read
There's a
it, there's
natural
no
break. There's a
comma.
natural break.
No, there's no comma.
We're gonna,
Just telling you, there's no
harmony,
comma.
harmony.
We're going to have to vote on
We're
that in
gonna vote,
non-public.
yeah.
Well, you can vote on it, but nobody here wrote it, so I'm just saying.
Okay,
All right, you have
old
that.
business. Under old business, we're going to go to number 1, discussion of acceptance of $30,000 ARPA.
not-
Well, so we need to correct the agenda. It actually shouldn't be acceptance, it should be agreement to,
It's the authorization form is what
Yes.
we're gonna read right now, so.
so that's what this is, but it's not actually an acceptance. Motion, I would like to motion to certificate of vote authorization grant signer designation. The grant is the ARPA Clean Water State Revolving Fund Asset Management Grant. I, Rainey Merriman, make a motion to designate Scott Campbell, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, to complete the certificate of vote of authorization on behalf of the town of Raymond, New Hampshire, so that the town may enter into ARPA Clean Water State Revolving Fund Asset Management Grant agreement with the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to fund an asset management program project. I would like to further designate the Vice Chair, Patricia Brigio, to execute any documents which may be necessary to effectuate the grant agreement. Would we like to discuss this? Would you like to know about that?
Yes.
Okay, so, all new stuff. So this is, basically all we're doing is we are agreeing to authorize the grant. To be accepted, it still needs a public hearing.
Okay.
So this is just to authorize the town to go get the grant.
Okay.
But the people, we need to have a hearing so that the people can then say yes to us accepting that $30,000.
Okay,
Grant.
we'd be doing this at a standard DOS meeting, or is this going to be an actual,
It's gonna have to be a public hearing.
okay, that's what I was
Like,
wondering.
full scale, yes. Is that correct, Trish? Did I get all that right?
Yep.
If I understood that correctly?
Are you looking for a second on that?
I would love a second on that.
Second,
All in favor, roll call.
Tricia Brigio, aye.
Scott Campbell, aye.
Tony, aye.
Doug's not here with us tonight, right?
He is not. Rainey Merriman, aye.
Doug has an excused, he's already told us, he's
He's
His-
at a
he's absent.
dinner, yes.
Okay.
He's not gonna be. All right.
Do we know when we're going to try to have that public?
No.
No.
So you just need to, your job is to go in to
Yeah,
sign.
you have to go in to actual sign the form
So just,
to
Okay.
do that.
So there's no
going to
deadline
do-
that we have to have the public meeting
Oh.
for this?
we'll
There's a
discuss that
deadline.
next.
There is a
so
deadline,
We'll be
okay.
doing that.
Yeah, so we need to get all the timelines worked out, but for right now, the paperwork needs to go in to accept that.
So,
And then we can schedule a public hearing after that. So I'm not sure I'm not sure what the time frame is on that.
Okay. Move on to number 2? If we're done with that.
yes.
I believe you're
Okay.
done.
Water tower and DES administration order discussion.
Come on down, you guys. Come on in. Oh, and Julie's here. Oh, shoot. What? I hope the town hall's open.
But you know what?
My phone.
Oh, is it there?
Why don't you let Julie know that?
Is Sharon still in the office, do you know? Okay. Is there any way you can
Chief
contact
Hammond's
her?
gonna be trying to
What
get
time
in.
does she leave?
I don't know
She
if that
can't
door is
get in the
open, but
office.
Chief Hammond's coming down.
Okay.
She can't get in the office.
Okay.
All right, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry for that interruption. So, the water tower and administrative order discussion.
Which page are you on?
I was just, do we want to, where is, oh, Jim? He's not
Going
here.
open the door.
Oh, he's out the door.
The
Um,
door's open.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
So last
Yeah,
night, I
okay.
don't know, I'm just gonna, for one moment, the water committee met, planning board water committee met last night, and when Jim comes back, oh, actually,
Hey there.
oh, I'm sorry,
How you
sir,
doing?
can you come up to the table also? I
Oh,
think,
sure.
I forgot you were also there, sir, thank you. Oh, I thought you wanted Paul first, so he didn't have to stay.
Yes, but he wasn't here, so that's
Okay.
where we are.
Okay. So, we have to discuss the administrative order, where we're at, where we should be planning as a town, where we should be headed, and some of the thoughts the water committee last night came up with, some of their, I don't wanna call them concerns, but action items. Do you have them written down as the order of your thoughts, and then, oh, Jim's here
Follow
too,
me
back.
along.
Hi,
That's all right, if I make a mistake, you can just pick up on it.
yes, please, go for it.
Let's see. Oops, wrong page, over here. Okay, well, one of the questions that came up was, well, number 3, the gravel pack well, that's running at 20%. Can that be brought up to full? Is that impossible?
Bringing it up to full doesn't, 1, 2, and 3 are all in the same water treatment
Yes.
plant. And at that point, the water treatment plant's the controlling factor. You can try to put as much water through there as you can,
Right?
but you're gonna be backwashing much more if you keep trying to push it through. That's one of
So
the
that would
reasons
be,
why.
go to number 4. Can the water department, water treatment plant be added to or increased from the amount that it does now to a larger amount?
Anything like that could be done. That's one of the things that we need to do as the supply portion of it. We need to figure out how we're gonna either put a little plant over at 4 to make that one work better, or to add onto this treatment plant down on Scribner to make sure that one works better as well.
What's the restriction on it right now, Pete?
The filter, the actual filter of every time you use the filter, if you use it more and more, you gotta backwash more, so you have to take it offline to backwash. So that's a couple hours every time you do that.
So my question is, when you have to backwash that, it shuts 3 wells down.
It shuts, right now, it shuts down what you can put through it, the 2 wells that are operating, or the 3 wells that are operating, whatever's there. It's just a matter of you're gonna do it more often if you have all of them going at the same time.
My question, I think this came up last night, is there separation? So say you have to shut down to backwash, does there another switch you can flick and then it's still feeding on that well? Well, that one's being, are
No,
they
'cause-
separated?
No, everything goes through
separation.
the same backwash. That is one of the issues we have. Scott's better at answering this question, obviously, because he's the one that's running the plant. But he was telling me that that's the issue, is when you backwash, you're essentially taking the plant offline.
And 4 is taking care of business basically at that point.
Yeah, and usually you try to do it in the fall or winter when you don't have the high demand on water supply.
Okay.
So, but that's one of the issues, is the backwash portion of it. The more water you put through the filter, it's like, if you're like, you have a filter on your refrigerator. The more times you use that filter, the
Yeah.
faster it goes.
Yeah.
You gotta replace your filter faster if you keep, spending 20 hours a day pushing at that filter.
So right now, if we get a high call to demand, so we have some of these projects go online, it might cause us where we're.
We can
gonna
only,
have-
there's a number in there from Underwood that shows us how far you can go, and that's it.
Okay.
Without using well for really a lot more than, where it is currently at,
Okay.
so.
Before, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
What information do we have about well 2 being down? Well 2 is down.
Yes,
Has there been any information of, is well two down permanently? It
It
shows up
can
as.
be repaired, it could be repaired, and Scott has said that, it can be repaired, but still you have the problem with the actual plan. You can have all three going, you know, you can repair number two, get it all working, but you still have the
Processing.
processing, that's the problem.
What's wrong with number two?
I believe it, right now, it got kicked offline or something like that, so it's not, you know, set up right, but Scott said we can fix that, it's just a matter of doing it.
Because we had one that was actually tilting, it was causing problems at the foot.
That's number two. is the
That's
filter.
number two, okay,
Yeah.
I thought we fixed that back, we spent some money to fix it, and I thought it was fixed.
You'd have to ask Scott.
That was
question.
back, Steve Brewer said that.
Yeah, so you'd have to ask Scott that question,
Okay.
that's before my time, sorry.
So can we actually put that down then? We would like to know if there's any estimates for well number two, what value there would be in putting any repair work into well number two versus if it's going to, if the bottleneck is a bottleneck regardless if we bring up two, there probably doesn't sound like there's much
That's
value.
the bigger
in-
problem is the
right.
treatment plant
Okay.
itself.
So you're better off to spend some money on the processing plant versus fixing number two at this point.
Yes,
And then
Okay.
fix
Yes.
number two.
yes, because you can still ramp up one and three and do more with it if you fix the plant, or you add to the plant.
All right.
Sorry, Paul?
That was actually my question, thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
Because I thought it was number two, and I did hear at one of these meetings, $1 million was thrown out there to repair well two.
You're talking back, like what I'm thinking?
Yes.
Yes, was it, I don't know if it was a million, it was a lot of money,
It
but
seemed like $1 million.
If it was $1 million, we probably didn't do it.
No, it wasn't done.
it wasn't done. Oh, I thought they actually did it.
Okay.
Okay.
At
When
$1
you
million
pointed at me, I
dollars.
thought you were gonna buy a noun.
That's in my discussion.
Scott Ketty can tell you more about that, he's,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
he's
thank
still good
you.
at that game.
No, and this is good to all of, this information is helpful, I think, for all of us, because there's so many questions, so thanks. I'll try again, Paul, on my next question when I get there. I'm sorry.
Joe, moratorium, that moratorium letter's being worked on, I guess they got it done, but, now they have to review it.
It's gotta go through the
It's-
chain of command.
Yeah, there's a draft that's under review, yeah.
Well, we need to, okay, so we said that casually, for the public to know, we need more specific. That's a casual statement that has a huge implication for the town. The town needs to understand that.
Right, so there's been a lot of work done on how much water the town needs for all these apartments that are coming. If there's 600 apartments coming in times 2 bedrooms, you need a lot more water than what you have available, because of the limiting factor of the filtration system, but also what you can actually produce. And so we know, our engineer knows that we don't have enough water for all that to happen. And then the other engineer that we had, the old engineer, said the same thing. The old public works director said the same thing, and the environmental service said the same thing. So finally got the environmental service people to commit to writing a letter for a moratorium on water permits. Not for building permits, but this is for water permits, connection to the system. And we'll wait and see how it's written, but we're hoping it's written so that an individual house could still go on, but a large development of 200 units couldn't go on right now, so.
According to Jen Mates, nothing should be going on right now. She has told Scott
That's
and
how
I,
far, yeah.
she has told Scott and I that we, even though the moratorium hasn't gotten to us yet, she
Yeah.
says, do not allow even single connections right now, just to make
Even
sure.
single, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
even
I've been
single.
saying we shouldn't have any connections done for almost 3 years now, because I knew this problem was here, but no one wanted to listen, but that's a whole different ballgame.
So that's where, I mean, Jen has told us, Scott and I.
So,
That's good.
but I want this clear in public. This is the state, we went to a meeting as a Board of Selectmen with our state reps, and the state is writing this letter to the town. This moratorium is not from the town to the state. The state is issuing this letter telling us that they're in agreement with this. So I think everybody needs to know that this has been being discussed in all situations across many boards, but this letter that's coming is for moratorium on water hookups
Yes,
from the state.
from the
Thank
state,
you.
yes.
Another discussion was on the Main Street water main that is a throttling point. Now, what is the location of that?
From the bridge at the river up to Orchard Street is the section where it's 10-inch pipe. So it's like apparently 1,500 feet. Don't know the exact thing. We have Weston and Sampson already working on that to design the new pipe there. So it's gonna go from 10 to 12, so it's the same as what's coming out of the plant. That, what happens there is when you reduce the size of the pipe, it picks up pressure, but you reduce flow, obviously. Because you're 2 inches smaller in diameter, so the flow. Yeah, so we're going up to the whatever, the size, I believe Scott says is 12 inch, so whatever that is we're gonna
Yep.
go all the way to Orchard Street where it ties in to a 12 inch over there, so.
So we recognize as a group that it was, that part of the project was in both the town's proposal, article voted on in the town, and it was also in the Article 44, so it was in both of them. One passed, and one passed with a simple both passed with a simple majority. But the first one needed to have a triple super majority because it was so much money. But anyways, that part is in both of them. So it makes sense that if that needs to be done, that would be done, start getting prices and start doing that.
We're already in design right now.
We did have a price on that. I didn't know it was 1,500 feet. I thought it was a very short run, probably like 5. I didn't know it was
No, it
1,500.
goes, it's 1,500 from what I've been told.
So it's gonna go right past Long Branch, all the way down to the.
No, it goes from the bridge all the way to Orchard Street.
Yeah, so it goes
So-
right past Long
Yes.
Branch. Yeah,
Yes, up the hill, over through downtown,
yeah.
into Orchard Street. So.
Can I ask questions in regards to that? So you said that Weston Sampson has been working on this. I'd like to know when they started, how long, what the deliverable date is, where the funding's from. I want all the information for, if they've been working on something, I now would like to know, and I'd like to see their scope of work for deadlines, when they put in, how long it
I
started.
will send you that
because-
proposal right after the meeting.
And I don't want the proposal, I want to see dates from them, and I want to see actual action items and deliverables as far as.
They do include dates on there, because
Yep.
we are designing now. They're in design now. We're gonna start doing probes in a couple weeks, just to make sure that what the road conditions are, and see if because what they wanna do is save time, is leave the existing one in there for now, put the new one in off to the side of it, so you can then just transfer the services over to it, instead of putting in temporary service to everybody, and then digging it out and putting it in the same trench.
Do we have room though, when it comes to the bridge? Is it,
It's not on the bridge, it's off the bridge. We're not really doing anything on the bridge, so.
so we have enough room to lay it
Yes,
aside?
we have the whole roadway. We do have to worry about the electrical utilities and things like that, but that's where the dig safe comes in. And they'll design it so it's in between the existing water main and whatever other utilities are. Granted, the nice thing is we don't have sewer on the street, so that makes it a lot
So they're gonna
easier.
drop it in and probably put like a 90 sweep and tie it into
Yes,
after the
yeah,
fact?
that's what, you just make, there won't be 90s, it'll be either 22s or 45s, something doesn't change the flow characteristics that much.
Yeah.
90 degrees will, you put a pinch point around, so that changes the flow characteristics of the water. So it'll be like 22s, so your angle is less than
Yeah.
what you need, so.
My question is, in regards to doing that work with the pipes on the side of the road, wouldn't we be better served to do the road section if that is part of the list of our repair for that section of the road at the same time, so that the downtime for the downtown, it's being done at the same time?
The problem doing that way is you putting a trench either on one lane or the other. So you're doing work at the same time. You'll pave it at the end, which is what I'm hoping to do, is once this water main's in there, it'll be next spring or next, summer, and we can go and just overlay the whole street or repair the whole street at that time.
How long would, this is my thought, and you could ask them. If I was gonna do this project, I'd tear the whole road up. I would put my main in, so the guys that come in and tear the road up, got it prepped and ready to go with the paving. Because that's what you have to do.
Right, but the problem is you're in the middle of the winter when.
Well, I wouldn't do it in the winter, I'd try to do it.
No, but the water main
spring.
will be hopefully done, if it's done in the spring, yeah, you do the whole road. You can do
Yes.
it all at one time, yes. That's great, that would be optimum, but I'm trying to figure out what DES wants us to do and when they need that done.
Yeah, because my question is the proposal got a date on it that they wanted to do it?
I gotta go look at it on the email, but I can send you the.
Because I would think if you started that now, you're gonna get in a situation where you're gonna get frost into that line that you're dropping in there.
You shouldn't,
Creek
because it's
hookup.
supposed to be down 5 feet to be below the frost line.
Yes,
So it's a matter of how fast they can design it. It may be a springtime project.
okay.
which is probably the case.
And if it's springtime, it would behoove us
To do the whole road, yes.
Yes, so that
Yes.
you're not doing that as a,
Exactly, so that would
the
be
interruption
perfect.
time is gonna be very specific.
Yes, one project.
And that still allows us to use that funds because it's being allocated. It doesn't have to be spent, it has to be allocated, correct?
The ARPA funds, yeah. they
In the
just gotta-
shim and overlay.
The shim and overlay, I'm gonna, hopefully, we gotta use the 200,000 we have to use.
Yes.
It's either gonna get used on a roadway this year, hopefully, or Shattigi culvert, so.
I thought we used the 225,000 from the state for the bridge, the federal grant.
The project for the Shattigi Road is more than. that.
It's 600 total, so
So it stays,
$10,000.
Yes.
okay,
You
so
have
we,
to-
let's state that to the
Sorry.
public, nope, because you guys have gone way out of water, now we're talking
Yeah,
roads.
sorry,
Yes.
different project, but
So,
that's, an estimate was 600 and something thousand, that's just an engineering estimate, it may come in lower. The bid is going to be going out shortly for that
Okay.
project.
can we use the shim and overlay on that? We
Yes.
can?
Yes, from
Yes.
what I've been told, we can, so.
Okay.
So that 200,000, that's in that shim and overlay that will be used no matter what before
Okay.
the year ends up, so. Either way. So,
that money's allocated and safe,
All right.
yes, you're not gonna lose it.
safely spent,
Yes.
so, all right. So the road and water depends on the time.
Yeah, I'll send you the
And,
emails.
and I'm gonna ask actually Mr. Hammond, Chief Hammond, to say, didn't we discuss this when you were acting as interim? We had, Weston and Sampson's been working on this for some time, so.
It's almost 4
So
years.
we
Design of
need
Main
to, we
Street,
need to,
right?
yeah, so I know, I really would like to have some dates from them and everything for their deliverables, because
I will ask the
that was
questions.
part, and how long ago was that?
Coming up on 2 years.
2 years ago. So we need them to put their action items down and to lay it out.
I think basically what we're saying is we've given them a lot of money, we haven't got anything back.
Understood.
No, not you, I mean,
Yeah,
it's them, it's
I
like,
know, but
it's like giving
understood.
someone for, something and not getting
I
anything in
understand
return.
completely. I've only been here 2 months. so,
Yep,
you know,
with, so, and it, to just keep hearing it and spinning the wheels, and now, everybody who understands, so we go before the state, and the state says, we keep hearing the same stories again and again. And that's what we're trying right now to say, we're done with the stories, we're trying to get moving on this. Go ahead, Kevin, you had
Oh,
more?
next thing. Well, I'll basically meet with the engineers and find out what's taking so long on the rate extrication,
Extraction.
and impact fee study. Basically, 200 units paying about twice what a single-family home pays to connect to the water system. So there was work being done by an engineer to try to fix that problem, and it's been going on for a long time, so we're just wondering if they're missing something, if they need something from us.
Do you mean for the rate study?
Yes.
Yeah, they need to know what the end game is gonna be before they can give us, that's what we talked about at the meeting with them last week, I
And
thought.
we've thought about that. It's just a regular computer program. Everything's there except the amount that, put the highest number in, put the lowest number in, and then put one in between. That will give us 3 separate numbers that we can use. All you do is punch in the numbers in this data. And that will give us 3 numbers. We can work with one of those numbers. I don't know why they didn't think of that. I'm not a rocket scientist, but use the highest number, use the lowest number, put one in the middle, and give us these 3 scenarios that we can work with, and
Well,
we'll figure something out.
Can
It's
I
in your
read,
packet.
can I read into, so we have here in the packet, and I can pass this over, I'm gonna read, is there a camera that we
Which
can
one
just
you
show? I just like to show, so this is dated June 1st, 2023, and it's in our packages, and this will go up. And what it is it shows meter size, meter equivalent ratio, estimated use, and equity buy-in cost, 3/4, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch grader. And this is from Underwood, and they had put that together, and it says, our current recommendations are summarized as follows. Implement a 3% rate increase across the board, meter charge, consumption charge, and hydrant charge to meet the operating budget for 2024. Establish the SDC for any new and/or expanded connections in accordance with the following table. So what the document here says is, so we have enough information that we'll use one example. We have a development that's going to be done in town They have currently one charge being given to them. Yet, there's going to be 176 units. We should be able to, today, and the state has also backed us up on this, said, you should be able to go. These buildings, the fees for that should be being charged today. Now, impact fees are different. We understand that. We have to work on the CIP. We have to put that part together. But that, anything right now before us, we should be charging them. That development should be being charged. That money would then be something that we can sit and use. And again, I'm sorry, we have the funds available to us, our water funds, and then sit and have real numbers that we can then discuss how we can help ourselves as the town with our administrative order. So I am throwing the question out to both the board, to yourself, and even the public. We need to do this today. We need to get this out there. And I think we're all in agreement, and the state's in agreement, we should be doing this. This charge should be being applied.
Have you seen this before?
I believe I've seen it.
I've never seen it before.
I hadn't either, but I found it.
Yeah, June 1st. This came out June 1st.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I've seen it, but I'm not absolutely positive.
Yeah,
It
we'll
may
make
have gone
sure,
just
we'll
up
make
in-
sure you
So
forward.
we could work right off of this and start doing our fees over.
You can, yes.
Yes.
If that, like Stacy had said, told me that, I think we already have a 4% increase on the books, right?
Correct. I think this is the last year for it, though.
Yeah, so we actually have more of an increase right now than what Underwood had put in on that. They only wanted 3%. This, and we're at 4 from the last.
It's less, while that's important, I think the exaction fees are the ones that we need to get the move on.
Right, especially
that.
for the Chester Road development. Is
Yeah.
that the one you're talking about, I'm
Well,
assuming?
anything that's, yes,
Right.
Anything.
if I put up a single resident home,
You
and
have
I'm paying,
$2,200.
yes, and I pay, and yet I'm putting up apartments, they should be paying.
Right, so they recommend that would be $5,200, that cost?
So I would think
That
that
can
that
be
has
true.
got to be, if memory serves me, I would think that that's got to be a greater than a 2-inch line. So it would be the gallons per day, I would think.
Each one of those, those 4 units that are there? Each one of those 4 units has, I believe, a 4-inch service going into it.
So then it would
So
be
it's gonna
the
be, yes, it's gonna be a different number.
41.26 per gallons per day.
Yeah, so that's the number we gotta figure out for him, because he's actually asked for it a couple times already as well.
So he knows that he's gonna be paying those.
He knows
so-
that he's
okay.
gonna have a different number, it's just a matter of what that number is.
Okay.
So each unit is fed by a 4-inch?
No,
or
not
is there
each unit.
3,
The 4 units are fed by one 4-inch line,
Each building.
each building.
so
So
my,
it's 34 buildings, I think is what's going in there?
so they get a 3/4-inch line to each unit,
No, they've got a 4-inch line to each unit.
but it's
No,
got
no.
a,
Oh, into
no.
each unit, sorry.
Yes.
Once it gets to the unit itself, it breaks up and they have their own individual services there.
Regular
Sprinkler.
residential.
The sprinkler is considered in the 4-inch.
4-inch.
Yeah,
because most houses, almost all houses, use a 3/4 inch, so if I did their numbers off of this, that's $908,000.
yes, and that's a large number.
That's a
but
great number.
It is a great number. It's a great number, but with his current golden ticket, or whatever you wanna call it, from back in the day, which somebody has already said, that's these, called it the golden ticket. I don't know
Wait a
how that
minute, so
works.
are you saying, and are you
I
trying to
don't
say,
know.
no, let me,
You-
so
you
what
can go
you're
for
saying
whatever
is
we go
you
for.
think, you're saying that you think that he's saying he doesn't have to, that he wants to stay with his one connection fee?
No, he knows he's gotta pay
Okay.
something, he just doesn't,
He's,
'Cause-
he's
gonna-
waiting for the final number.
yes, and then he's gonna say
He knows
something
that the
either way.
connection fees are not gonna be what they currently are set at.
Okay,
He
I was
knows
gonna
that
say, when
something
he
is
first
coming.
started this project, his materials were not
We
the same
shouldn't
price as
talk
they are
about-
today,
And-
just like everything else in
Yeah,
society.
I'm not worried about the materials,
Yep.
I'm worried about just the water. 'cause,
Yep.
And that's
it's a
our
private-
material.
It's a private, yes, that's
Yes.
the one thing that's ours, and it's a
Okay.
private service,
Yep.
situation in there, so,
Okay,
whatever he does from that
all right.
in there.
But it's good to know, because then, again, the cost should not be borne by citizens and private well owners as well for this
Yes. I
usage,
understand.
and that shift is necessary.
So
Okay.
can I go ahead and make a motion that we start using the exaction fees that were found in the June 1st draft?
I
You
don't know.
can put them, you can put them
Don't think,
together.
I think that's premature.
I think you might want to.
I think you do not want to do that, Rainey. For
Jim, would you like
I'll
to say
second for
something upon that?
discussion.
I'm just gonna note that nobody has seen that, you just got it
Right.
today.
I
so
would
you really
second
vote
for
on it, you
discussion.
need to be able to read it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna, she made a motion, I'm second for discussion, and
I mean, we're gonna have a discussion about it. I don't think you need to vote on it. We're
well, I'm
just gonna
saying
have
she
to have a
motioned, I
discussion.
seconded, and I don't think that is a motion that I would want to do today.
So what would we be waiting on? Making sure that these numbers are
Well,
correct? Making
since
sure that
we
that's how
all
we enact
just
the
got this,
exaction?
I wanna read it, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna look against other towns,
Great,
because Tony sent me the one from Derry. I'd like to compare it to their hookups,
yeah.
and actually make some comparisons. And then we can make a decision, we could sit down and discuss it, and figure out what we wanna do. More of an educated decision versus just what we're looking at that we got today.
That sounds great.
Their
And I
rates
will,
change depending on zone, so you gotta take that into consideration also.
So we might wanna think about that.
Yeah,
Because we
Derry-
have multiple zones.
Derry's a far bigger.
So the
location
the only thing that I would caution is that we need to make sure that this is done with some expediency, because we've been lagging behind. So I'd like to set a date as to when we think that we can be ready to make a decision on that.
Not this next meeting, but the meeting after that, that should give us plenty of time to get this done, I would think.
August 7th, I think that is.
Is that the next meeting? I have to look on
So the 31st is
August 7th.
it's August
Okay.
7th.
So I would think that we might have to sit down with a group of people and kind of figure it out.
Yeah,
You know, water department, you, Scott
Scott,
Keddy,
yeah.
Stacy,
Okay.
we'll have to figure out what we want to do with that. Do our homework, kind of look at some small towns. You could take Derry with a population of 27.
Yeah, they have a lot of commercial entities. too.
Yeah, so, but I could probably make a phone call over to their water department and say, how many people are on your water that are residential?
I'm
And
sure they
then base
have
it on a
that.
percentage. If we deduct, we only have 11,000 people, we could use that ratio and figure it out from there, if we wanted to back out numbers and work on it.
Yep.
So I'm gonna
Quick
put
figure.
down that August 7th, are you making that amendment to your motion?
Yes, I will amend my motion
To say,
to say that by August 7th meeting, we would like to have a final decision on what our exaction fees will be so that we can implement them.
I don't think you need to make a motion on that. On that 7th,
Yep,
is we make a motion to accept what we come up with for the information.
okay,
And then it's set in stone
All
for
right.
a certain period, I should say.
perfect.
Till someone else wants to
I'm gonna
change
retract my
it.
second.
So we're sure that the engineer will have that information for us by then, before then, so we can make a decision.
It's all in that.
It's in this,
It's in this
email.
That's.
So,
Oh, that came out of an email?
And I apologize because we've kind of been doing all the things, but I will definitely try and get this packet up online so that anyone in the public can get an eye on this as well, so you can see exactly what it is we're looking at.
We also talked about, we're having it right now, but we also talked about a joint work session with the Selectmen, Water Department, Finance, Town Engineers, everybody in the Water Department, and the Planning Board at one big meeting, a work session,
What would be the focus on?
everything.
That's gonna be a long meeting.
We'll be there a long time.
Start in the morning, bring your lunch.
Yeah.
And another one was land for the tank. The water bill says we have land for the tank, the new tank. Do we have land for a tank?
We don't, we have not purchased any land for a tank yet.
Okay,
Where was the
town-
land that they wanted to purchase? Because the board doesn't even know.
You know where the 156 tank is?
Yes,
Right behind it.
right behind it.
On the hill, not the Welch property near it, the one behind it, the bigger property.
Tommy Thompson.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, that's who they were discussing it with, that's all I know about it. I don't even know the person,
Okay.
but they were discussing that. One of the issues is that he was looking for a roadway in, so he could probably develop that piece of land.
Off of 27.
Right.
Yeah.
Off,
That was probably the deal they were trying to negotiate. was-
Off of 27 or
no,
156?
no, off of 156.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say,
Right next to the tank, they would try to, the old tank and the new tank would be right behind it, and they would try to put the roadway near it on the side, but that does get to the Welch property a little bit, I'm assuming to put a 50-foot right-of-way in there.
The only reason when you said 27, because that property does connect through
It does
Colonial
connect to
Drive down to
27.
27, and that would be your loop for development.
Yes,
You need two ways, yep.
yes.
There's your in and out.
And I think it's landlocked at the moment, right?
It is,
It
I
is
believe it's
landlocked.
landlocked.
That would give them
So
two
that's the
access points.
Negotiation was to provide frontage to.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's already, yeah,
Yeah.
that was before my time, but that's how I took it,
That was-
looking at the plans.
Right.
so,
The town
looking-
does have land on Chester Road. And, it's pretty high elevation, I'm not sure the exact elevation.
You're talking off of, what's that development there, that road?
Park Lane.
Not Morgan Farm.
Park Lane?
Park Lane. And that's in the area of Blueberry Hill Road. And-
Down on the south end.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is, when they turn on 173 units on Blueberry Hill Road, that water is gonna, pretty much dry up, I think, to the rest of the way down.
Yeah, the only problem I see down there is the elevation wise, if it
Right.
doesn't meet, then,
It has to be 300 and something.
yeah, 300 to 310 roughly in that
It's
ballpark.
325.
325 right now. And the town.
Height of the tank included with the land, or the land itself?
The ground surface is what, you're looking for elevation of 325
Okay.
roughly. The ground surface, the tank will go higher than that.
Yes.
But to get the right flows in and out of the system,
Okay.
that's how it's supposed to be designed, is that way, because it gives you the right pressures as it goes through the system all the way. So even if you put the tank on the south end of town, you're looking for that similar elevation so that all the pressures coming off of it will be consistent.
There's the current tower. This is the area
Jim?
behind it.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if the board could find out who owns the plot of land that's at the end of Park Place. There is what looks to be a very suitable spot for a tank there. And on the GIS, it's not listed who owns that lot.
This is what you're looking at?
So
This is
aggregate is
the one that
listed
they're
with
talking
the
about.
ones all around
They have
it,
to cut
and
the
then
road
that
in.
one has no information.
Behind the current tank on 156, this is that lot behind it.
Oh, okay.
Directly behind
I
it.
think you'll find it's aggregate.
I thought we owned that property, Jim.
Well, some people say aggregate and some people say the town, but there's nothing listed on the GIS map, so I think it needs to be determined because it does look like it's a very good spot for a tank. We'll have to have the engineers take a look at it, of course, but
Yeah, I mean,
I think
how,
it
I
is
just,
important.
one question I have is how long does it take to get to Chester Road from there? What's the length of the piping that you're gonna be putting
A
in?
few thousand feet. So it's, off of 107 and off of 102. And it's, the length of the development. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the questions the
Right.
engineers
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
look up
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so.
yeah.
But if the location may be great, but if it's cost you $1 million to put,
Well, there's a lot of things you gotta think
Do you,
about.
Yeah.
Pete, do you know what the cost is per, like, I know road construction, when you're putting a road in, it's $300 per foot. What is it for the pipe?
depending on what size is the problem. That's, if you got a 12-inch, it's a good size.
What size do we have off that road right now, Kevin?
Yeah, well, you'd wanna come off the tank was as big as you
With
go.
12-inch.
With the biggest one you go
Yeah.
with.
The one that goes towards Blueberry Hill?
Yeah,
That's
that
a
one
12.
on the road, I don't think it's 12.
No, I think it's 10 in
I
the
think it's
road
10.
at that point, because it just ends now, so it's
It's
just,
a dead end. pipe.
yeah, and it's an 8-inch going into that new development, so.
Okay.
So you're gonna have another pinch point by doing that.
So you gotta.
And it's a state road, so you gotta deal with the state on putting in the pipe through there. If you're gonna upgrade that pipe,
Mm.
which goes all the way down to 27, I don't know.
I think the water main is on that side of the road, so that's one good thing, you won't be cut across the highway.
Right, you'll be on the edge of the road, which would be
Right.
nice, but it's
I was
just a
just
matter.
wondering if we put a smaller tower like we have over off of, yes, Long Hill.
Long Hill's not a small tank, so.
I'm saying
Smallest
height-wise
thing
and all that, yeah.
company's ever made.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's not,
They're
it's not the
cutting
same as the
holes.
90,000 gallons on Orchard Street.
Mm.
You need more than that.
Yeah,
So the goal is with the tanks is to try to get, so we can add things on at the same time too. So that's one of the situations we're dealing with, is that if you can get the water there by fixing the treatment plant, you can hold on to it in the tanks, and you have more surplus water to use for developments and
Yeah.
things like that too.
Can we direct the conversation to the administrative order and, so we had Article 10 and Article 44, and what we need to do is discuss, what we're gonna do going forward for how we're gonna proceed as the town, what the town wants to do. We have, and I won't give the numbers out in
down to the last penny, because I said I would like to grab every single penny, but I was told not to do that, so I'm gonna round out. So we have ARPA, I'm gonna say 1.1 million. 2022 water fund, 800,000. CRF, 500,000. So when we look at those and we take those numbers, and if anybody wants to see, as long as I can have that back, some of the numbers, if we take that as the base of what we're going to start to work with, and I think that finally the people in town all want to know, what are we going to do? Because we want to get ourselves so that we can go back to DES and say, we're working, this is our plan, this is our timeline, we have these funding secured, and what is the first step that we put to say that we have an action item? I think that everybody has to decide is the Main Street. I think we've all, it was on both plans, so we say that pinch point on Main Street is an agreed upon portion from both. And then the other side is then, do we do the refurbishment of 156? We know we can't take down Orchard Street until we have, but if we were gonna do this in phases, we need to secure a location. But I think the first thing we do is the Main Street pinch point is our first, and then we look into Orchard, and I'm sorry, not Orchard Street, 156, refurbishing, and anybody has anything to say on that?
Well, that will bring us into compliance. Starts the process
It-
of.
it's-
For the
it's-
for the
it's-
administrative
It-
order.
it will,
yes.
yes, and that's what, it will help, yes, it will definitely get us, so
That is the one we need to get
and
into
that's what we need
compliance
to
with.
get in
Yes.
compliance, so,
The corrective action plan is still
yes,
a couple stages away
Yep.
from administrative order, so.
all right. But we have to
As far
just
as I know.
start with, and I don't think anyone's in disagreement on the Main Street. I just want to know from the board what you feel about,
Well, I think we said we need to fix that pinch point a number of times, so, and we gotta spend some of that money, so,
That's going.
yes. So, I mean, I think that's kinda in stone at this point.
but
We're-
then
we're moving
we
forward
need,
on
but we
that.
need the next part for, the state needs to know
But the tank,
the tank.
are you gonna rehab or replace?
That's what we need.
And that was the number we would like to see is the rehab.
You want me to get, I can get I'm not Underwood, I can get Weston and Sampson to give us a
They
number for,
Gave
They
us a
gave
couple
us-
back a while ago,
So,
but,
yeah,
Again,
so
I
that-
can
that
call.
probably doesn't change much,
yeah.
because you gotta deal with lead paint and things like that, but
And when was the last time you guys had that de-leaded? I don't know how the lead's growing on it like a vegetable, but the
Was
lead's
it-
been off of that for how long now?
You sure? I don't,
The
It's
last
been-
time it was done, it was called,
if that's even better, because that
Right.
changes the price.
but
This keeps coming up, and it's like the lead abatement's already been done on both
at
tanks.
least once.
Sorry.
If they found something in the ground, they did an estimate, I don't know if they did or not.
I don't, but they did it clean the ground out too, or just,
They cleaned out a lot of ground, but I don't know if they did everything. I don't know if they found something. It does double the price, so
yeah, that's,
if they can not abate it again after they've abated it once already.
I don't know that, that's before my time.
Once you abate it, there should be no
Should be
lead.
done. It
Yeah,
should be
it's done.
Just like your house, it should be.
Yeah,
done.
a lead
And if it's
abatement is a lead
not,
abatement.
Yeah,
Well, we should find out why you didn't do it.
And if they didn't do it,
Right.
or if it's not, if it still isn't abated and they were the ones that did it,
Well, who did it?
if we look back on the original contract and it says a lead abatement was done, their insurance, actually, it doesn't matter if it was 20 years ago, that
Right.
insurance is still liable for that not being done.
Mhm.
So then you go right back,
And
there's your
if
lead
it's-
abatement
Yeah, but
money.
if it's already done, that saves a ton of money on the
Yes.
project, so.
Yeah,
But still, that's another issue. Do you wanna rehab and get probably 30 years out of a tank, or do you want a new tank and get 100 years?
I think we'll get more than 30 out of it.
Oops.
Can I just say something that we need to do both? We
You-
need to rehabilitate the 156 tank that's there, so it'll last another 20 to 30 years. And then we also are going to need another third tank, so that when we're doing maintenance on these tanks, every 10 or 20, every 20 to 30 years, that we still have two tanks that are operable while we're doing the maintenance on the third tank. So we will need a third tank at some point. Whether it goes on the Orchard Street site or another site is up in the air. But the first thing that we need to do is get the 156 tank rehabilitated, because that is our second tank. If we put a new one in to replace 156, we're gonna have to follow it up with another new tank, right behind it. And I don't think anybody wants to buy 2 new tanks.
Right, we have 3 tanks now, but if we take Archer Street out, we won't, so we do need a 3rd tank.
A question. Could we rehab the 156 tank without having a 3rd tank? Like, would we need a new tank before we can take that one offline?
That's the question.
Well, how
If
do
you
we
take
take
it
that
offline, you lose, I mean, it probably can be done, but I just don't wanna have tanker trucks putting water on the system all the time.
Jim?
Go ahead.
That's what was done last time,
Okay.
And
so it's been done before.
I think what it is you don't wanna go too long on this because Orchard Street is getting old, so if you're gonna work on this tank,
gotta do
you might
it.
wanna do it while Orchard Street is still viable.
Yep.
And then as soon as that's done, that's gonna come off, and then we gotta look at a 3rd tank. I mean, that's inevitable.
Well, we could be doing no, we should be in parallel, we know we're gonna do a tank, not after, you should be in parallel, that's gonna happen, we know it is, so we should be doing that. And Underwood and Weston and Sampson have been doing a lot, they should have most of this information.
Yep.
Weston and Sampson, were they the
They did
the
all the
ceramic
tank.
tank? Were they who went and looked at the ceramic tank?
It wasn't me.
No,
That was
that's what
Dave.
Dave Frederickson with the glass line.
The glass line, was that, but who went with them for
Mm-hmm.
engineering? Was it Underwood or Weston and Sampson?
Sampson.
Probably Weston and Sampson.
Weston and
They're
Sampson,
the ones
okay.
dealing
I think it
with
was.
So I'm saying that all of that information shouldn't be historically lost, they should have all of that, so I mean, we can still do that, it's gonna be where that goes, but in parallel, so yes, it's been done before, we know 156, we get that going, and we get ready and keep going, working, we don't stop working on looking for the tank location and all of that, the new tower, we know we need it, but we need to get ourselves in compliance.
The one
And
thing
the
I
other
wanted-
good news is that the exaction fees would be then
In
building in
place.
order to help replace that 3rd tank.
And I think that's what the citizens need to know. This is what we've been working on. So once you rehab one, the extraction fees are in place, you're not gonna get some giant tax increase, because now when anybody comes in and wants to develop, they're gonna
They're
be
being
paying
paid
that instead of
for.
the citizens now. And that is a better situation, because you're not gonna see a giant spike in the taxes in town.
Yeah,
Paul?
the one question I have is if you do them, you could, in theory, do both simultaneously.
You,
Put a new tank in at the same time as you're rehabbing. Because you don't wanna, if you're gonna not put a rehab, if you're gonna rehab, all that money that you would have from the 875,000 and the loan on that the groundwater people had, that's still gonna go away.
here's the
You
problem,
reapply, right? You reapply.
here's the problem
You
with
get a
that.
lot less.
That's the problem, is they're gonna say, hey, they're reapplying now.
How much you're spending.
We know we can rehab that tank now, and here's the situation is, we own it, we can rehab it. We don't have to buy any land. We don't have to worry about buying land and now getting a giant expansion that's gonna put that new tank out of date. Because if they expand and they start doing 200-300 units, because we bought that land to put a new tank in, guess what? That new tank is defunct already. It's already outdated, not putting out enough water. So by rehabbing that, putting everything into play, we don't have to worry about another nightmare coming at us. It'll keep that on the back burner.
Because you'll still be in a moratorium. 'Cause you have
Yes.
But we're trying to be fiscally responsible,
Yeah.
like, because there's two things. One is that we understand that there's the municipal water system, but we also have a huge population in our town that are on private wells. And we understand now, we're part of that municipality no matter what, because even if you have a private well, you'll be funding this. But we're trying to be financially responsible as well for, like Scott just says, if we put up this tank and the usage is immediately outside of the citizens incurring a huge cost for something that immediately, and all these applicants take over.
And it gives a
It's
green
not-
light to the applicants.
But it's not a benefit for the citizens.
I'm just saying,
And-
losing the money is gonna be something that may not be
Yeah, but-
in your best interest.
Well, here's the thing, I'm gonna give some quick numbers out here, which was never spoken about before. I brought it up, but no one wanted to listen. Just on the ones that are proposed, we're gonna be $19 million in the hole because of the school impact. No one talked about that. Just all these units, and if you start figuring it out at $19,000 a child, 1.5 child per unit, it comes out to huge multi-million-dollar in the hole situation. Now you need a new school, now you need more fire, now you need, so That's outside of the
Understood.
tower.
Understood, I understand
Yeah.
that completely, because we have the same
And if-
issues where I live.
If
Okay, wait,
people
but I would
think the
like-
tower's gonna cost them a lot of tax increase,
The
you
school's
put
gonna
that
be
in
3
there, the
times as
school's
much.
gonna make the tower look like child's play.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this disrespectful, but we use the word, you're gonna lose all this money. And the problem with saying that makes it sound like that, as we sit here and try to have a discussion, that we're not trying to be fiscally responsible for the citizens to not get
You just won't
huge.
take the money.
We had to pay
But
that
the
money
huge,
back.
we're gonna
Yeah.
pay it back, and we're
Right.
gonna pay it back,
So it
whether it's
wasn't a
increased
gift
tax.
that
So
we're
we're,
giving up.
we're just trying to not,
The 875,000 was a gift.
Right, but we had to
But that's-
borrow 4 million to get it.
Right, that's.
So-
so
understood
that's what we're
completely.
trying to say, and I mean, the words matter, and to say it that way. So we're 100% not, we're trying to say that we have citizens on municipal, we have private wells, and we're trying to find the solution that keeps our water, so we're safe, and we're trying to get the water so that it can get processed and we have a quantity. And to be honest, it was quite scary watching some of this come in and realizing this year we are not in a drought, but 2 years in a drought, the wells were going dry and everything, and you saying, we're gonna take the rest of this water out, it can't even be moved around our town. So I think we are trying to be concerned.
Tony?
So when's the last time the 156 tank was evaluated or looked at? Do we know how much work needs to go into it and approximately how long that's gonna take? That
Weston
process?
Sampson did a complete report on that, and that is
So do we have
probably
that?
available, and, yeah, there's a complete report on that.
Paul, do you know the last time it was gone out and inspected? When was that?
It was, I believe it was done and finished in 2020.
Yeah, because 2019, they did the state came out and checked it out, and then we had to
Yes.
do work on it, so it's probably 2020.
So it wasn't that long ago, Tony.
So that
But I don't think
available,
we
that
took
report?
It should be
If
available.
I can find it, if, Scott must have it.
It's on the town's website.
All right.
You can look it up under the.
And the report's on there too, telling
Yes, sir.
the detail on it?
Yep, pictures and everything, it's a great report. Since I do have the floor, and Kevin can verify this, the town right now doesn't have enough water in storage. We've had several incidences over the years with Sunview a few years ago, where the water commissioner came and said, stop using water, we're running out. It's not the right answer to tell the fire chief, by the way. Down in the middle of the town, back when we had the fruit store fire, we were flowing over 6,000 gallons a minute. We saved the center of town. That man right there saved the center of town.
Luckily, we take it from the river.
That's exactly what happened, because we didn't have enough water down there. And do you remember the fire down at the Baptist church? Not the church, but the house beside of it. They just built the Long Hill Road Tower. They told us the tower's closed right now because we're chlorinating it. But if you need water, let us know, we'll open the tower. We unfortunately had a fire right at the foot of the hill. We said, yeah, we need more water. They said, the line's already open. There's 3 incidences right there where we didn't have enough water to fight a fire.
That was another thing we discussed, yeah.
But then to say that, okay, we're gonna refurb the 156 tower, which I agree with, that's a great idea. But then to lose the 3rd tower in the meantime,
119,000.
119,000 gallons of potential fire protection. That doesn't make sense. In my opinion, that doesn't make sense.
Well, no, you're gonna need a third tower, Paul.
Right,
You're gonna need
but,
one.
but I think Trish hit on it, I think it should be in parallel. I don't think it should be, okay, we'll do this one, then we'll do the next one. Because in the meantime, we're gonna lose that one down, and we're gonna lose 119,000 gallons of water.
You reminded me of something about the looping of the system.
I just wanted to point out that that's true. One of the reasons that the pinch point on Main Street is important is because you can keep the fire flows up on the other side of the line with that tank removed, hypothetically, with that larger pipe. But what I'm thinking is that DES has been has worked with us quite a bit on this. And if our intention is to do a 3rd tank, I think that they would be, I can't speak for them, but I think that they would be amenable to us keeping the Orchard Street tank up until that other tank was built. So I don't think that it would need to be taken down, even though it still technically would be a deficiency. I think that if they knew that it was being replaced by another tank, that they would allow us to keep that in service.
and by starting the rehab on the 156 puts us in play for compliance. It's just,
You still need, if you lose.
they know we gotta do something about it, yes.
If you lose Orchard Street, you're not gonna be in compliance without any, you need another tank
Mhm.
right then and there. So that's the problem, is if Orchard Street should fail, and then we're out of water a lot of places. I mean, that's what I'm really worried about, is that just giving way. I mean, it's twice as old as I am, so. And then
I
some.
think at the last review, structurally, it's sound.
It's, yeah, it's okay, that's, so, that's fine.
They don't build them like that anymore.
No, they
Right.
don't, and you can't even get to the site now, so, I mean, that was all by hand.
I
so-
know, that's the scary part. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw what the numbers are just to climb up there and redo it. I don't know how they did it back in
And they, horse and
1908,
horse and-
1889 or whenever they did it.
They used oxen to pull up the stuff and put it up in place. I'm assuming,
Unbelievable.
or, you know, a really old style conveyor belt,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Hmm.
But, yeah, like, to get to that tank is a very expensive project,
And, you know,
just to get to it.
even when I saw what they were gonna do, if you're gonna spend that much money, make a real permanent road. Theirs wasn't actually a permanent road, it was just to do the rehab or dismantle, and that was it. We should buy that right away and make it a permanent situation.
If we're not using that again, no.
I'm just saying, if you were even gonna think about it, you might as well buy it
Well,
all.
but the problem is that piece of land that the tank is
It's
on
too
is
small.
small for.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy somebody else's property around it
Right,
to do
so-
that.
We own the land right next to it,
Which one?
on Orchard Street, that's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Right, but the tank itself, in the location of the tank, that elevation is really small.
Right,
Yeah.
that little footprint that that tank is on, that's one separate lot. We own the lot right behind it. There's plenty of.
Tannery site, right? We also own the tannery site.
Yeah, we do own the tannery site, but there's also, is it the the elevation drops off substantially, yes. And then Onyx owns the next property over too, I believe, right? I mean, I'm not
That's
positive.
where the road could go in if you were gonna work on it.
Mhm.
It's still, the top of the hill is kind of small for a new tank.
And the last thing we talked about was looping the system, because it goes down to the trailer park there on the highway. And then now you got a warehouse coming in, so there's gonna be an extension somewhere. It's either gonna come from the Harriman Hill side, or it's gonna come from the highway department side.
Yeah, so you're gonna wanna try to connect it to both.
Once you've gone that far, you should do the other piece. Once you do that, it makes the system a lot better.
Yes, looping is you need the looping,
Much
because
desired.
the dead ends, we get complaints about, because once you get close to the dead end, that's where all the sediment goes, so,
And the friction loss is better on a loop system, so.
yes.
So I think as the town's best interest is that we put together our plan for our administrative order so that the state is satisfied that we have actually started to work
Yes.
towards getting ourselves. The other 10 issues that we're all talking about should be put as priorities. So we should talk about them in priorities. We can maybe, Weston and Sampson and Underwood have been doing a lot of work for a long time. We should be able to get a lot of that information and actually attach it to the questions that are raised so that we have the information that's needed to go with everything. And Weston and Sampson and Underwood we should decide whether or not it's monthly or bi-weekly be giving us reports of status. If they're around town doing work, we should know and we should see what we're getting for the monies that they're taking and using for us. So, but I think that as the board, our first thing needs to be to address DES. DES, in no uncertain terms, told us, and I think that's our first priority, is to get us so that the state feels that we are actively working towards getting the administrative order resolved. So I make a motion that we, the Main Street pinch point improvement does not seem to be any disagreement on that. And then second would be that we get the cost for doing the 156 refurbishment, hopefully finding out that the lead abatement has already been resolved. But at the same time, we need that parallel plan of the location for the tower, where we would be placing a tower, and also all the information that they gathered for what type of tank, where they had gone off and done all of that. And that may require a subcommittee of people to go and gather that, because we need to move quickly with some alacrity. So I don't know if my motion's getting too winded, I'll stop at that point.
I don't think you need to make a motion on that. What we're doing is we're saying we want the information so we can make a decision.
Okay.
The cost of doing that, the pinch point we keep talking about.
Do we want a subcommittee?
I was just thinking that might be
Subcommittees are
necessary.
great. I mean, you might want to do that. You can make a motion to do a subcommittee to actually start the review process.
Well,
And then we can put a request in for the information.
I would like a subcommittee that is dedicated strictly to action items, and also all the action items and a very concise timeline. So we have everything concise. We need somebody, and the committee needs to be very quick moving. We can't have a year of all these discussions. The state is not gonna sit back while we need to have, if we get a subcommittee, they need to move quickly to put the information together.
So you're making a motion to form a subcommittee and put out some flyers, maybe trying to recruit, and
And they need to be able to meet immediately, and they need to listen to what we said, how we want to proceed, and get that information so
help us
we
do
can.
some homework.
Oops, hello,
If I may, the planning board already has a water planning committee.
okay.
I would love to use do you think the water planning committee, and I know you don't speak for everybody, but do you think the water planning committee would be on board with
Yeah, could
that
we,
task?
could
We're
we
talking
do
about-
that?
We're talking about a couple more people.
We, these are the things that we talk about.
Would you be nimble? Could you guys be nimble?
Yeah, we quit too.
Spry.
That's fine.
We've been chomping at the bit to do this, so.
And then I make a motion that the water planning subcommittee,
Just the water planning committee.
water planning committee, we put a request to them to begin and be that nimble group we need.
So they would be what, like searching locations and types of systems, or what exactly would
Well,
we be asking them
the
to do?
location's the only thing that I think, all the other information, we should have someplace, Weston and Sampson, Underwood. We have some high-level information for financials. We won't get down into the pennies, but we do have enough at a
So we
level.
might have to give them all this information so they
So
have
we
it in
can-
front of them.
Yeah, and we can
Yeah.
get that over to the committee, and then they can get that part going, so.
Well, the other question too is, Pete, would you be the liaison between Weston and Sampson and all of the partners, seeing what information they have immediately and what is needed?
I can do whatever you need me to do.
I have a question for that. Should we could make a motion that we allow Pete and the water departments, the Sampson and the other company, Underwood, email. They can actually start forwarding any of the information over to that committee, because that committee's gonna be overseeing it at this point and putting it all
Well, they're
together
gonna
and
be
working on
helping
it.
get the information.
So why
Oh, so
send
what
it
you're
to
saying is
us?
that, like, allow them to request whatever
Give
information
them
they
permission to
need?
send it over to them. That way it doesn't come to us and we gotta get it to them. There's a lag there. Why not just let them, be able to accept the information instantaneously so they got it and they can work on it?
Yeah,
I know you can't speak for the committee, there's only two of you, so when's your next
There's
meeting?
actually
So, there's,
Tracy.
Scott Campbell is also a member of.
Oh,
the
I
water-
put-
I was there last night.
oh, so, sorry, so, I don't wanna speak for that committee though, but I think that would work. Is that
Yeah.
okay? I think that would
I'm
help.
here to get things
That would
done.
help us move along quicker, so.
I didn't wanna say anything, Jim, because I didn't know if that was more than what the water committee actually wanted to work on, but it's water.
If we need help, we'll ask for it.
Okay,
Once we
And-
find,
and-
we find locations, and we want the water department and the engineers to look at whatever we come up with, and we'll figure it out.
Any location you can figure out, I've been looking myself, trying to figure out where we can put this thing.
then,
So, and I've looked for just town properties and things like that.
You want 300 to 320 feet?
Yeah,
You do know that Weston Sampson did the same thing 2 years ago.
well, that's what I'm saying, we have some
It's already
information.
done.
Should be done.
The locations that they looked at, though, I think, out of those 5, I think 4 of them have probably already been eliminated.
Yes.
So there might still be one on that that's viable.
Because they looked at Flint Hill because of its height, but the pipeline was gonna cost too much.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is you don't have to reinvent the entire wheel.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to process the information that they've already gathered for us, that's it. Yeah.
It's gotta be in there somewhere, it's gotta be everywhere.
Yeah, so we can gather all that up.
So I'll give you my email, and I'll send you something so that we can exchange that information, and provided that the vote moves forward, that we're allowed to do that, then I'll have some stuff.
Did I make the motion?
Ma'am?
Didn't they start doing something in the Cassier Forest? I thought they were putting a water tower out there or something years ago, and then stopped.
I don't know
They
about
cleared a
that.
spot.
Way up
road
near
out there.
Governor's Lake.
Yeah, on the backside of it.
To get,
There's a little man-made pond, and they went around there. They
yeah,
cleared a
but to
spot.
get pipe to anywhere from there,
I just didn't know what they were. I
Is
think
there,
they started to
it
do
doesn't seem
something
like a
with
lot of elevation out there, but I've
I
been
don't
out there
know,
since
I
I
mean,
was a
there could be
kid.
up.
All right,
Yeah.
so this is a Friday night, you guys, and we have some people who wanna leave, so.
Actually, I find it enjoyable to talk about.
Do we make, did I start a motion?
I-
And then nobody seconded it,
Oh,
so-
I'll second it.
Try again.
Well, we have the
It got
committee,
long there, I don't know if we're.
we were talking about
No,
making a
the
committee, but now we do
motion
have a
to-
committee.
You already have the-
So are we
So-
making a motion to actually allow them to gather the information and work
And
directly?
work in parallel, yes.
I'll second that motion.
Great.
All in favor?
Tricia, I.
Rainey, aye.
Scott, aye.
Tony, aye. Do we have to roll call?
No.
I just automatically do it.
Well, I keep thinking Doug's over there somewhere, and I
Doug is-
keep expecting to hear his
Doug is
voice.
We should get a picture of us so that we can, like,
Doug
just
over
have
there.
them sitting there.
Draw mustaches on them. So, I wanna say thank you guys for coming tonight. I know this was kinda last minute, but,
Can I ask a question before we close this part? Do we know why the expenditures in the water department are so high this year? Already, year to date, 307 million, 305,000?
There's one-time expenditures. The loan payments have already been paid. They're a good size payments. There's 2 loan payments they make. One's probably in March and the other one's in May. So.
One's like 75 grand or something, right? It's a
it looks
large
like
one.
200.
Oh,
I'm not good on this on Friday nights,
Okay.
but
that's a big
they're,
one
they're
then.
2 good size loan payments.
Okay.
But are we done with those payments now? We're pretty close,
I
right?
think this is the last year or 2024. I think we got 1 more year on the oldest loan. I think that's next year. We'll see the last payment.
what
And
was
it's not the
one?
full amount.
Before we
It's a
take out a
little
new one. we're
I
gonna
know,
pay off the old one.
exactly, right?
Long
What
That's
they paying?
exciting.
I don't even know what that was for the
It's
water
the
processing plant,
2005 loan, I believe.
for the plant.
For the plant, so that's the original plant.
Wow.
So that's-
Now we can add on to it.
now we can
Yeah.
do it, yeah.
You pay it off and then.
And
you
it's
add
like
on.
when you get your
It's like a
car,
car,
and you
yeah.
do
Yeah.
your last payment, and then.
And it breaks
Actually,
down.
the only, I just want to add one more thing onto this, because in this discussion, there's been a lot of back and forth with, well, I have a well, I don't have it town water, why am I paying for this? What is the, so, and, you know, some people brought up, well, if you have a fire, then the fire department, you use that. And the fact of the matter is that we live in a rural place that isn't even always the case, that the fire department can even get to some of our rural homes. But the fact of the matter, and this was said, I believe, in a DES meeting, and I thought that it probably made more sense than anything else that I've heard for all of the people who live in town. I have a well. We are not on town water, and I don't know that the fire department, there's no fire hydrants anywhere near me. So if our house burned, I'm not sure that the fire department would be able to put us out. However, that being said, we have to realize that we moved into a town that has this infrastructure. And as that infrastructure, there may be some responsibility that we have to take care of that infrastructure. It's no different than, you know, if we had to put a roof on one of the buildings that the town owns that we have. It's something that needs to be done. And while a lot of us think that the water department is self-sustaining and only has to exist like that, in the future, we can try and move to that as much as we can, knowing these things now. But we kind of are where we are. And so some of this is just going to need to be done, and we're going to need to bite the bullet. And honestly, I'd rather go ahead and do it this way than being fined $50,000 a day by the state, which is something that they talked about. So as part of the infrastructure of our town, I think it's just important to recognize that it's something that belongs in our town and it needs to be maintained. And hopefully from here forward, we can just get a better handle on that.
It's the same with the school system. People that don't have children in the school system still pay for the schools.
And roads,
Yeah.
I can tell you, I don't
And
drive
roads.
on that road.
Yeah.
Right, there's a lot of roads I don't drive on, but here we
It's
are.
on my road.
I've been
Right.
trying to drive on all of them, to see which one's the worst.
I don't get a
Right.
truck.
I have a little squeeze that goes along with that. So you get the water, right now,
Do you know
the
what that
whole
is?
water system is being paid for by three groups of people. The water user, the non-water user by taxes, and the water user by taxes. So the water user is paying twice. He's paying for it through water bills, and he's also paying for it through taxes. As well as the people not having any is paying for the taxes. The one person that's paying zero is the developer.
Right,
The one person out of all these people getting rich is the developer. The rest of the people are just paying out. So-
absolutely.
so
Well, and
what
it's
we need
our
to do is-
town though, and we understand
we
that.
need
I
to
think that's.
welcome, we need to welcome these developers into paying for this.
Yes, yes, welcome them
Welcome
to paying
in.
for this, and that's
Yes.
exactly it.
Yes,
That's-
and yes, you're right, we should definitely put the welcome sign, so, all right. So, I say thank you. Julie, you staying?
I'm gonna-
You're staying? Well, thank you.
Did we outline, how do we exactly start charging for these fees? Did we cover that? How we go about
We're gonna
doing
look
that?
over that and bring it
That's
up on the
not August
7th.
Yeah, so that's on the 7th, it gives me a little more time to, we've been searching, we
Yes.
found some things, we haven't
We-
found a ton
August
of
7th
things,
we
but
will.
we will
Wait a minute,
have an answer.
I'm sorry, did you guys wanna ask us questions?
No,
Okay.
I'm all set.
No?
I am all
Okay.
set. I
All
just
right.
wanna get things done.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You all set?
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah. Thanks.
Just to follow up on the fee, any fees, I'm not sure if exaction fee falls under it, but you're gonna probably need a public hearing. Like if you were to increase the water user fee or any fees, a public hearing is required, so I'm not sure we're gonna wanna find that out for exaction fees, because then the
Yeah.
public hearing needs to be posted within a
Yeah,
certain period of
10
time.
days.
So, and the good news of that is that we also need a public hearing for that grant,
Yes.
so.
Do it all at once?
We'll just do a big public hearing for all the things.
Public
Yep.
hearing parties.
Yes.
That was the plan.
Public hearing for you, and a public hearing for you, and a public hearing for
Pizza.
you.
Bring in the
I feel like
pizza.
Oprah. Okay.
Okay, so I guess if we're all done with the discussion, we can go to public comments?
Yeah.
Although we've kept this as a pretty open meeting, but
Did you invite me here for any particular reason?
We did.
We did.
Oh, you're
But
still
you-
saving that, okay.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, yeah.
You have to be saved. Well,
Yeah.
let's do public comment and then we'll, because we
Yeah,
need to
we'll-
twice.
Yes. We have to, yeah, gives,
So,
So I just had a question, and it's probably already been explored. I would imagine the Orchard Street Tower is because of drinkability. Is it that? Because my thinking was, couldn't it be used as a backup for fire? Keep it like offline so it doesn't get filtered or anything, but at least have that little reserve?
I'm just
I wonder-
guessing that not moving the water around, it will freeze.
That's what I was gonna say, I was wondering if it would freeze.
You also have
And get
bacteria.
stagnant.
and then you have
Yeah.
mosquitoes.
Well, it's not a
and-
perfect, I'm just
No, but then I-
kind of throwing that
Yeah.
out. I figured it would already have been explored.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good thought, though.
Hmm.
Is there any more public comments? Paul?
You guys know Pat Cassier?
What's that?
Do you know Pat Cassier?
Yes.
He has been trying to get a hold of you guys. He currently has possession of the logging rights on our
Timber.
property, yes.
I found a note 2 days ago, just to let you know, and it was from, there was in a not very, where I would have thought linear place, there is a handwritten letter from them,
Yes.
and yes,
From February, I
and it was from February, yes, and it was in an obscure location. I
Yes.
just found that, and I actually had tried to find out if any action had been taken on that, and
The answer's no, because he's
Thank
still waiting. So that's
thank
good.
you, thank you.
guys know
I
it
did,
now,
I
and
tried, and
He asked me if I would reach out, and so we're good.
thank you. Thank you very much, that solves that. I asked some people, thank you.
And what is it about?
He wants to give the town his rights, his logging rights. He doesn't want to log the land again.
Wow.
We own the land, he owns the logging rights, he had 25 year on it. It's coming up on 25 years. He's also coming up on 85 years old. He doesn't wanna do this anymore.
It's over 180.
What land is
Yeah.
it?
The
It's
cashier.
off, Bald Hill Road,
Mountain
Yeah.
Road.
Bald Hill Road.
Oh, Bald
Yeah,
Hill.
Bald Hill Road.
That's a
He's
different-
had several locations in
Right.
town,
Yeah,
but, that was his last venture up there with that dollar development, and he has given us some of the back, I don't know the acreage, 50 acres, I'm guessing. But he wants to give us the logging rights.
right, and that's what, and he did, he hand wrote a note, and I found that in an
And,
unusual location, and I tried to find out if it had been action item, but thank you.
And the original agreement with him was he wanted to put a memorial like he's done his other places, somewhere out there, so I guess that's where you guys come in to agree where the memorial should be. Hope this doesn't take as long as the Chadwick donation.
So I can see about if we could add,
Really?
and reach out and add him to our agenda to read his letter and to see if he still would like to.
So is that conservation land or just town owns the property?
Town owns the property.
Is there anything up there? Just trees?
Yeah, there's a good tree, he logged it 25 years ago, but selective cut, he didn't take every tree down, that's not the type of person he is. Just
We will.
You gonna put that on the next agenda?
I wanna put this on,
This
yeah, because I
good-
found it.
down.
Good trees are good with
I found the letter.
Tucked in like the middle of nowhere, and so.
And I apologize, and I will personally apologize, like I said, it was in an obscure.
Yep.
So, all right, thank you.
Any more public comment? Jim?
I'd like to make a request to put the Water Planning Committee on your August 7th meeting agenda. And I'll send you a written request for that
Okay.
as well.
Anybody else?
Well, this is gonna be a recorded meeting and put out to the public?
Yes?
Okay, so the water committee is looking for 2 new people.
Oh,
Thank you for mentioning that, yes. So we're currently 5 members, and the planning board voted to allow the committee to add 2 more members. So there's 2 open seats, and we'll look to fill those. We'll give people a couple of weeks to apply, and then we'll look at them.
Thank you.
But whether you were for or against Article 10 or Article 44, everybody's opinion is important, because we all have to be on the same page moving forward.
Okay, with that being said, other business?
Minutes.
I was gonna say, or do you wanna
I
go to
hear
the
crickets
minutes?
on the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Did everybody, well, and Doug's not here, did everybody get a chance to do any minutes? Or, I think we said the 31st, didn't we?
What, for the minutes?
For the
Yeah.
minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sorry. So I'm gonna make a motion to table those until the meeting on Monday.
Okay.
and we gave
I'll
two,
second that.
and two, Tricia, I.
Rainey, aye.
Scott, aye.
Tony, aye.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That being said,
Okay. Wait a minute, do you want anything?
is there any other business?
Yeah, yes, there's other
Yes.
business.
Yes,
There's a truckload.
that's why I was like, look at Julie.
Yeah. So, what do we wanna do first? So if we do the CRF first, is that a good
I don't know
place
what
to
you're
start with
looking at.
the CRF?
You're holding.
The,
Paul, now you can come on down.
I am done. You want me to come closer?
I think that's little fuzzy as the speaker, I think.
yes,
It
I
can
think the
pick you up.
fuzzy is the speaker,
This fuzzy
so-
is the speaker, so.
Julie likes it.
Not everybody do. I just am holding copies for.
Okay. I think it was only a few days ago that we had the meeting we were, right, this past Monday.
Monday.
So, so the $19,338.49 for the truck repairs, and you had explained what they were. And then the request from, to come from the CRF
for the fire department and equipment. No, we only have the originals. And there was, the trustee have said that that fund was not a fund that we should be drawing from because of the 2007? Is that a true statement? It's 2007. I will read you.
Warrant article.
This is from the trustee of the trust fund to the Raymond Board of Selectmen, copy Fire Chief Paul Hammond, Capital Reserve Fund request, 2023-09. I understand that you'll be addressing this request at the Friday, July 28th meeting. While I have not had an opportunity to convene a meeting of the trustee of the trust funds regarding this request, I believe it does not meet the stated purpose of warrant Article 14 from 2007. This request is for maintenance and repair. The warrant article approved by voters clearly states the Capital Reserve Fund is to purchase equipment or vehicles for the fire and forest fire department. Based on this information, I believe the trustees will be unable to approve this use of the Capital Reserve Fund. If you wish, I will ask the trustees to meet as soon as possible to review and discuss this item. Respectfully submitted, Kevin Woods, Chair, Trustee of the Trust Funds.
Okay, I did happen to look up the definition of equipment from Oxford. The necessary items for a particular purpose. That's the definition of equipment. Back in 2013, we got a little over $51,000 out of that particular CRF line. 34,000 of it went to Tower 2 refurbishment. 9,700 went to Tank 1 refurbishment, and I'm sure this gentleman remembers both of those incidences quite well. Those are refurbishments. If it was okay then, I'm having a hard time swallowing that it's not okay now after looking at the definition of equipment, which is necessary items for a particular purpose, which is what we bought. That's neither here nor there. We gotta pay the bill. So I think, and Julie and I have talked about this, we have a pile of invoices that we gotta get paid. So we're gonna have to take it out of the, my line in the first place, my vehicle maintenance line, and get that paid, which is grossly gonna overexpend it because I only got $7,000 left in it because that budget has been chopped quite a few times by the previous town manager. Unfortunately, like I say, we got $7,300 left in that, which isn't bad, which is right where we're supposed to be. We're halfway through the year. That's 52%. So we're sitting right where we're supposed to be until we came up with $19,000 worth of needed repairs on that tower truck.
Can I interject something that may, so Kevin Woods has looked up that definition and you supplied the definition of equipment and the noun. We also have the Emergency Management Revitalization Fund, and I want to ask the board here, which this has not pre-gone to the trustees to look at this fund, but the EM Revitalization Fund maintain repair to the 1998 PS Aerial Skypod Tower truck is another option that I think we should discuss. I think it's,
You know, it's another separate branch, so it's not anything to do with the fire department.
well, when we looked through as far as the statement of what this fund actually has,
Okay?
it does have a line, and I would have to, I don't have the actual line of that, and I don't know, Julie, do you have that with you
I
by any
don't
chance?
have it
If you
with
don't,
me.
but the
What are we
last line
supposed to
of
use
this
that for?
account.
Well, I mean, it's emergency management fund, what do you use it for then?
Well, and there is one line in there that discuss to maintain refurbished, and that one line, I think, would apply.
Okay,
Now, we can discuss this,
that was gotten by a former town manager, and that was specifically for radio equipment. When he got that, now, I don't know, I haven't looked it up.
It was quite lengthy for the discussion, and it had discussion of vehicle, it had repair, and I don't know if we want to
If they'll allow it, that's great. I don't have a problem
How much
with
is
where the
in
money
that
comes
fund?
from.
And in that fund right now is 330,400 change,
Mhm.
so.
That's for radios?
Yeah.
Must be some nice radios.
Well, it was the whole infrastructure for the police department right down through.
Okay.
And it was supposed to update their 20-year-old Quantas that they have there. It was supposed to update our 20-year-old radios.
Didn't we just spend money on those?
Chairs, the chairs for the,
Chair.
your chairs came out of that fund.
Yep.
They came out of that, the
Yep.
chairs.
No, but we
for-
just paid for some radios just
Yes.
recently,
Yes.
2
Yes.
years ago, correct?
Yes, for the fire.
Did it come out of
apparatus.
that fund?
Yes,
And the chairs.
And we still have that much?
yes.
Yeah, it's more purpose to it. I'm almost there.
It's,
It
it does
was
have a
a
specific,
lengthy
but it's very
purpose.
lengthy, and I know when we did the room, and those chairs were part of the.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
The emergency management.
That line like increased 1,000%, right?
Yeah.
What it used to be.
Oh, yeah, because Joe was, unfortunately, he was misled, I'm gonna use that term, he was misled by a business that probably he put too many eggs in one basket, and then he found out afterwards that there wasn't where he probably should have put all his eggs. Because unfortunately, once they came in and said, okay, that's only half of what you need to complete this project, which was new antennas and new radios, a whole new base station.
I remember all of that going on,
Yeah.
but then it kind of disappeared. You never
That-
heard anything about
That's
it.
why it disappeared, because then he was told, that's only half, and Joe said, I'm not coming back to the townspeople and telling them that I only gave you a half-truth, when I thought I was giving you the entire truth. It
So that
was-
money's just sitting there not being used.
Yes, we've used it for a few things, like the radios for the fire trucks, I did update those. We're waiting right now, another big project is the highway department is supposed to be, if I can get a DPW that stays long enough to get this done, they're supposed to be updating all of their radios from the low band that they're on to, into the, frequency so that we can all intercommunicate.
They're overdue.
They're
ready?
way overdue.
Julie's gonna read.
Okay.
I don't want my phone to set up to go this way, so you have to bear with me for a little bit. So it's a little long. Purpose of the funding, so it was established in 2021. I'm just gonna get, for the purpose of funding shortfalls in the emergency management capabilities and provide funding to enhance the town's capabilities to achieve national incident management, command and control capabilities, and support the effectiveness of the town's emergency response, and to raise and appropriate the sum of blah, blah, blah.
That sounds like
And
that
I personally felt that line,
Mhm.
the effective, if the truck can't work, it's
It
out
won't
of
be
service,
efficient.
it's not, it's
Right.
not it's not gonna be
And
effective.
it's an
for-
emergency.
So, and it's an
yeah.
emergency, so that was
I
why,
mean, it sounds like the fund to take it out. I'm sure tomorrow I'll get an email saying that it's not the proper fund, but
but I
you
personally
too will
read
get
that.
it.
But, so, I
Yeah,
Yeah.
felt that covered it.
So for the last,
I think Jim's had his hand up, don't.
Sorry, Jim.
I just had a question. The first fund that the trustees said that you couldn't use was the sticking point because it's, if there's a forested fire?
No.
That's what the equipment was for?
No,
Which
the
article is that
first,
exactly?
the first one is because that the purpose of the warrant article is to purchase equipment.
Which one? What's the
So-
warrant
rather
article?
than a,
So,
What number is it? Just say?
it's warrant article 14 from 2007. It's to purchase equipment or vehicles for fire and forest fire. And that's the sticky point, he said. He's not purchasing equipment.
he's
Well, the
purchasing
parts
the,
that you
yes.
use to repair the vehicle
Yes,
is equipment.
yes.
I suppose that we could delineate that in that it's the purchase of the, parts, but then the fire department's leftover line would pay for the labor. But when this fund doesn't need to have any stepping through sticky wickets, perhaps.
Sounds a little more cut and dry.
for 35 years, the selectmen have been told the maintenance lines are not enough to do anything major. So if a motor goes bad in the trucks, they don't have enough money in the maintenance line. Basically, it's enough to change oil and do the tune-ups and do all the minor stuff that all the trucks need. The maintenance line does not have enough. What is it? What is it now?
15,000.
So 15,000 isn't enough if you have a clutch job or a transmission job or an engine or anything. 15,000 is just basic maintenance. And forever, the selectmen have always said, we will find the money to take care of any maintenance problems you have. Don't budget it in your budget, because I tried to increase my maintenance budget for years, and they would never allow me to increase it, because at the end of the year, if you didn't have a motor blow, you would have 50 grand.
Did they
more.
come through for you in the end though, like they promised?
Well, at one time,
That one right there, yes.
right there, that came out of a different location.
That was CRF,
That was a CRF.
It was the
Yep.
same,
And
it's the same one.
and it's
It is.
$51,000.
Right.
So when you refurb a vehicle, then now you get another 20 years out of it when you refurb it. So they consider that a refurb, replacing the motor that blew. So that's why it was so expensive. And it got another number of years out of the truck, otherwise.
The motor was 51,000?
No, the motor was only 24,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a $9,000, there was a bunch of stuff in
There was
there.
refurbishment
Oh,
of tanker one for 9.7, and the tower truck took some more refurbishments, which totaled.
Still, that's a lot of
34.
money for a motor. What's it?
24
Yeah.
for rebuild?
Yeah, what kind of motor is it?
Pretty good.
Detroit,
Oh, okay.
It was towed to Portland, Maine.
Detroit
That was
871.
7,000 just towed there.
So,
Okay,
which,
so-
which,
Okay.
we have two choices here. I personally, I will defend the,
Yeah.
Would you like to make a
I
motion?
like the
well, no,
American.
there's two choices here. Either one, I don't have a problem with either one of these. The board, could we do a roll call, which one which
I would
CRF?
prefer the emergency,
It's
the
got a-
one that says emergency.
And it's got a lot of money in there
Yep,
too.
it's got a lot of money in it, that's not going to anything else, whereas the other one, we are actually saving for new equipment, so.
I'm trying to find the language to that
So-
warrant article
It's
that
on the
they're arguing
packet.
about.
If you
Yes.
go to the very last page of the packet, I printed out the warrant article from 2007. I think it's the very last
It
page.
is, it's right here. It's in his packet over
Oh.
there. He has a printout of it
So I
as well.
provided a copy
Yeah.
of it from the annual report.
But which one do we want to take it from? Scott?
The emergency management, I think it's got money in it.
Okay. And I would agree with the emergency management. I would,
As an exercise, could we have Kevin's group look at this? Because if it isn't something we can use right now, that will give us a chance to at least get something in a warrant article to get it more clear. If they're hung up on equipment, if it needs to say equipment such as refurbishing or repair, we could certainly add that verbiage and.
Yeah, we may have to add
I'm
language.
sure Kevin would be delighted
yeah,
to
we
look
will have
into
to
that.
add language,
Yeah.
but
Do you have, like,
The
this
whole
doesn't have
packet.
the.
What are you looking for?
There's a picture of it,
Yeah.
right there, that's the warrant article
Yeah.
right there.
Which one? Oh.
Bung, bung, bung. Let's
So-
go for our municipal minute for just a
So-
second, can we do that? We don't have to.
Let's just make a motion on that. Everybody's in agreement.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to make a motion that we take it out of, which one is it? I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it.
you want to take it out of the emergency?
We're going to take it out of the, where is it on here?
You got that one?
The emergency management revitalization,
I don't see new anywhere on this.
Just as replace.
Right, but.
get a second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Tricia,
Aye.
Aye.
And if he's gonna end up looking this over too, so.
Do you want to sign it afterwards?
Nope.
No, we can sign it
Sign
now.
it now, he's,
This is to change the name and purpose of that, to buy equipment and vehicles. Doesn't say anything about new.
No. That's all right. I ended
that
up-
I'm aware of.
Now,
Do you see
Rainey,
new anywhere on there?
Yes,
No.
municipal minute.
Anyone?
So if anyone is wondering what the trustees of the trust funds do, they actually watch over the funds that we have, and when anything is expended, they are the ones who try to interpret what the will of the people was when they made the warrant article. So that if it says, if you want to buy a fire truck, this CRF is for this fire truck, but if it says it is for a yellow fire truck, then we actually have to buy a yellow fire truck. So the trustees of the trust funds are the ones who kind of monitor that activity. Anytime there's something that needs to come out, it's shuffled over to them and they interpret that. And there's your municipal minute.
I think their hangup is still on the equipment, their definition of equipment.
I'll tell you, like, if it went to a court of law for interpretation, I think you'd probably win. That's my opinion.
We'll add your definition of noun in there.
Right.
And we'll add your noun definition,
Yes.
okay?
It's a good thing we got people watching out over these, make sure everything's done
Yeah.
correct.
Well, yeah, that's
But thank
our
you.
goal, we want it done correctly, but we don't wanna get hand-tied either.
I disagree with their assessment.
Yeah. I-
It's a fire truck, it's kind of a necessity, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I thought when I said, yeah, go ahead and fix it.
Do you have more?
Yes, there's, what other things need to be done today? This is.
Now, they meet as a board and make that decision?
Yes.
I've never
Say
been to
again?
one.
It's
Sorry.
3 of them.
So this is, it's from Stacy Gorella. Hi, all, the current owner listed for the water system is the town manager. Can you please coordinate with the BOS for the chair to be listed as the owner? That's you, buddy. When a new manager is hired, they can be added as an additional point of contact, but shouldn't be the owner.
When you say the
And this is
owner,
from
what do
Jen Mates.
what do we own?
You are the new owner of the public water system.
I like to buy the railroads, but I'll take the water department.
So I think
It's
that
got
we
some
need your
problems. We gotta- we
signature
gotta
right
warn you.
there. Yeah, and I don't think we need to vote on it or anything.
No, except I just want to make sure, since we just did the one for the authorization, do we put contrary language with that form with the authorization?
With the,
So you just
what are you
did,
talking about?
where you said, I, Rainey Merriman, authorize Scott, can you
This
please?
one?
Yes, I want to make sure the language isn't contradictory, because this is theirs as well,
Okay,
so. Somebody's phone's ringing in their
Somebody's
pocket.
calling somebody.
Somebody's calling,
is it me?
I have no idea.
It is not me.
So he is the vote of authorization. I think you're fine, but if they complain, because we signed this one with you as an agent.
Oh.
So, that's all.
So we're
So-
good?
Yeah, they'll come back if they didn't like that he's.
There's a little arrow over here, primary contact,
That's you.
owner's rep or primary operator, sampling agent. Which one would I do?
What? Sign here.
No, right here, it's asking me, which one am I? Owner's rep, primary, sampling agent.
I think you're the owner.
Owner's rep.
Okay.
Scott Ketty is the sampling and,
Welcome.
28?
Yes, it's the
Yes.
28th. And then we also have, while you're doing that, we also have the application for inspection station appointment that you need to sign as well. This is something that we do semi-annually, double,
I think it's every
biannually.
couple of years.
Yeah, every couple of years. Can you speak to that?
Well, sure. So the highway garage is certified for inspections. So every couple of years, they just have to provide this to the state. Typically, the town manager is the one who provides the information. So there's information you have to provide about you here, and then you sign on the second page. And then we can see if they want us to redo it once we have a town manager. But until then, they need to have this done and submitted by August 31st.
I might want to do it now, because we're getting pretty close.
Yeah. If you have more questions, Stacy can speak on that better than I can.
And then this is a notice of intent to cut wood or timber. And as far as I understand it, from PA 7, intent to cut wood municipal responsibilities, 15 days to sign the intent to cut or to notify owner in writing the reason intent has not been signed, RSA 7910. We can decline this. There's the piece of property, and they are going to clear cut a lot of it.
Who owns
It's
that property?
over by Onway Lake.
I'm not familiar with that.
We can't really say no. It's their property. They own it. They get to do what they want. They know that we were looking at this and saying that there were some wetlands, we thought, but apparently they are familiar with that. They know to put up the stuff around it and do all of those things. And if we don't sign it, it just means that we don't get the tax revenue for it. So they still get to do it, but we just don't get tax
Conservation
revenue.
Commission get that money?
I
No longer.
believe,
No, they get
No,
the
no,
land
no
use.
longer.
yeah, I believe
That
it
does
comes
not
to
happen.
town, right?
That's-
Yes, we get
Yes.
that money, the land use change. is
They-
what
it
comes.
changed.
So. It's not very clear where we sign this.
It's over on.
It's- this would be
It's
you,
right
wouldn't it?
there, yes, it's on.
Oh, it's you.
Thank you.
Sign it is not on the lake, it's across the street.
It's kind of
Back
abuts
up
the
around.
town-owned property at the end of, what's the name of that road?
Birch,
No, the one over there.
Levitt,
Sergeant.
The other one.
Deer Run.
Deer Run.
I
Frank,
can't think of the name of it. What's up?
it's gotta be one of them.
No, the power committee was talking about putting a solar farm up there. It's, shit.
Not Ann Logan.
It says Deer Run on here,
Yeah.
so.
But there's another road up there on south of Governor's Lake.
All signature stuff, bring that back.
This does not have our signature.
It said driver's license number, I don't know what that is.
This is,
They want it?
That was Governor's.
Will you send me an
He can't
email?
find his wallet or his credit cards or anything else in his life, so.
The record show.
Yeah, do you want me
Ma'am,
to,
you're lucky I don't have a gavel here.
Let the record show.
do you want to see if your wallet's, oh, I think it's in my car, because I thought, his wallet's in my car.
Okay. Just knock on the door if you want us to let you in. Okay, sorry.
these are, I believe these are the two new firefighters, right? Devin Harvin and Andrew, yeah, I'm gonna mess that.
Riotta?
Riotta?
Works for me.
I'm gonna go with Riotta. So this is an appointment to town office, and they simply
Sorry?
say, whereas there is a vacancy in the office of Raymond Fire Department of said town, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, we do hereby appoint you, the said Devin Harvin, to the position of full-time firefighter of said town. Upon your taking of the oath of office and having this appointment, do they need to be here for these?
It was sworn in by the town clerk.
Okay. Oh, that's why her name's on that. Do we need, but we do. Oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath recorded by the town clerk. You shall have the powers to perform the duties and subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. And that also goes for Andrew Riotta. And we just need to sign these. Does it matter do we need Doug's signature? Should we hold these?
As long as you have majority.
Great.
Doug's not here, so there's nothing we
Let's
can do.
forge
about
it. I'm joking, I'm joking.
Now, Trish, that's something I would say.
I
You
know,
know better
I'm
than that. You'll
sorry.
scold me for that if
I
I said
know.
that.
You can scold me.
Which lot was that? Timberland?
It's Friday night, I don't even know what time it is, I feel like there's no
It's
people.
I,
5:40.
Oh, there is a clock.
Is that here?
the whole Friday thing's messing me up.
It's right, totally.
We should have brought a grill in here.
A grill in here.
Oh, see, I'm really,
You're really pushing it tonight, huh?
okay.
Tell them what happened in 2013 down in Green Hills when they brought a grill inside.
I say, I used to work in Lawrence, and that would happen all the
I
time.
gotta
We
find
try to
the second
grill the
page, I forgot.
bathrooms in the winter.
Who gets the intent to that? Do it, Dawn?
Fire department was busy.
I won't joke about your poetry.
All the signed
Yeah,
things.
Mr. Campbell.
I think that's all the things that need to be signed.
Be Skippy. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
She got that, Jen.
All right. Oh, well, I take that back. This was the Paul McCoy issue, with the VFW.
Okay, is it all set?
Yes, I called the liquor board, we should all know this. So I called the liquor board and said, what do we need to do with this? Like, if we sign our name to this, are we allowing them to serve liquor places? Like, we don't wanna be in a jackpot trying to do your job. And her answer was, no, you simply need to give them permission to do it. We actually still control all the liquor stuff.
Okay.
So, I said, so I just simply need to say The Board of Selectmen have no objection to the VFW serving on the patio area, which they wish to make a permanent installation at the Maple Wheaton VFW post 4479. She said yes, and I was like, it's just that simple. She said yes. So
Okay.
here we are. So we just need to sign it. We should probably make a motion?
I think we already did all that.
We already did all of
We
that.
did, didn't we?
With the
Yes.
contingency.
With that
and
now.
now the
It
contingency
checked
has been
out.
met,
Yes.
yes.
That's right, so,
Did they get rid of that sign that said exit that led to nowhere? I asked about it in the meeting and didn't get an answer. I don't know if that matters for what we're doing, just curious.
Matters to me, where is
Yeah,
it?
well, it was in the report that in the back, there was a sign labeled exit that led to nowhere. And I asked him, had that been taken care of? And he said, yeah, there's a light that needs to be replaced.
Someone may not have recognized the door. We're quite familiar with that building, he and
Does
I
anyone have
both.
the, I don't have, I don't know if I have it with me.
Has a closet. So, they're required to put a sign on it to say it's not an exit, and there's a door that goes to the
It
closet.
said specifically in the report that there was a sign that said exit that did not lead to an exit.
I don't remember seeing
why I
that.
asked
Where is
about
that at? Upstairs, downstairs?
Upstairs, I believe. It was in the report. I asked
They-
about it.
Is it in the
minutes.
back right-hand corner?
They used to have an exit, it's still an egress, exit. Remember the ladder they had on the back side of that?
Yes.
I don't believe that's there anymore.
Oh, yeah. So that would mean.
I don't have my copy of the report. Does anybody else?
I do.
Or his, the
Hmm?
papers he submitted?
they're in there with it, with the, here. Nope,
I wouldn't be with it. It was from the meeting.
it's under there.
Oh.
Yeah. Is that what you're looking for?
Actually, still needs egress, it's within 20 feet of the ground.
Exit sign in the upstairs area needs to be removed or covered as it does not lead to an exit. Last page.
No, that wouldn't be from the letter from the, that's,
That's
would
the
that
packet he
be
gave
from-
us on
Parker.
7/10.
no, I'm asking, is that something that when you do your letter of authorization, that should be addressed from fire to go,
We can certainly, yes, because we look at
right, so that,
signs,
yep, so his letter of
Originally-
authorization, we can sign this for the liquor commission part, but then we could ask if you would go have that exit,
yeah, absolutely.
sign taken care of.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're gonna sign that?
That's the liquor commission one,
That's,
wherever it went to, oh.
Did you sign it?
No?
oh, it's
Oh,
not
you
there
just
with the
got the
fuzzy. Well, set it back up. That's gonna be loud.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna hear this thud.
Thud.
Doug's gonna have some stuff to sign when he comes back.
I think that's all I've got for signature stuff.
Okay.
I think that's,
Well, I'd like to make if we're all done with other board business, I'd like to make a motion to go into non-public session, RSA 91-A:3, Roman 2, parentheses B, C, and I.
second,
Tony, aye.
Tricia, I.
Scott, I.
Rainey, aye.
Okay.
Paul, I believe we're gonna need you in that meeting.
And when we come out, we will be sealing the minutes and the meeting will be over. We'll call adjournment.
Yeah, we don't have any other business after that.
Thanks, everyone, for
Thank
coming
you,
out.
everybody.
We go.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Sorry about the doors in the opening.
So how's Sam doing?